Hey guys, so today I've got a really cool example of a practical enterprise level blockchain solution. What I've actually done today is I've replicated the Node-RED flow that is needed for this Groove Rio to pull data from this Allen Bradley PLC and push it right into a Hyperledger network that is active and living on this environment that I built in Ubuntu. So check this out. This is really cool stuff in my opinion. So to walk through this a little bit, I'll do it quick and then I'll spin up the network because it takes a bit of time. But I'm using the Fabric samples example called FabCar, and I've created using a really awesome library JS file created by somebody else with some modifications by myself. It ends up creating a REST API input. So it ends up being able to communicate both query and add data to the active Hyperledger blockchain using Node-RED is what I ended up using. So let's go ahead and spin this up. And while that is going, because it does take a little bit of time to create the network, what I'll do is I'll go through a little bit of the flow. So what I'm doing here is I'm pulling data from this MicroLogix PLC. It's one of the reasons why I chose this PLC is it is used everywhere in industry. I don't have it being pulled from this Opto22 Rio right now, but the Rio can operate on Node-RED without an issue. In fact, it comes out of the box with it. So this is the exact same as being on board. So what it does is it pulls the tag status, and I created a little dashboard that basically pulls that data, shows it. I've also created a little bit of controls for the Hyperledger Fabric gateway because ultimately that is what is important about this. Don't worry about the connection error request. That's because this is not active right now, but it will be. And then what I have down here is I basically create a HTTP get and post. So what I've done here is I'm pointing to the instance, which is a virtual machine right now, but it would be an active PC that is running one aspect of the network. Of course, the network doesn't live and die on a PC like shown here. This is simulation, so it would end up going to a peer, and then it would go to the ordering service before being committed. So, still waiting on this a little bit. It does take a bit of time, but what ends up happening, to kind of go back to this a little bit, is I produce a GET request at that exact URL that is based on the settings of the REST API, the API server that is going to be running on this. The query right now is query all cars. That's actually a little bit left over from the FabCar example, but that's easy enough to change in the configuration files. And when it comes to posting, what I do is I create the exact same thing. I do a post request at the URL that is required to basically put that data in there. I put it through a little function to package up the data, and then I go from there. So this is still in process. So what can we do here? We'll talk a little bit about the use case of something like this. I show the fact that this can actually utilize local I/O. So what I picture this as is a gateway that can pull data from multiple existing machines, but can also take advantage of the local I/O to add in more resolution to what you don't already have. That could include more analog sensors, temperature, maybe a quality control of water. Maybe you want to measure your power consumption because you're trying to reduce your carbon offset or trying to increase your offset. There's many different things you could do. The reason why I'm pulling data from a PLC is that could replicate, a production line or something like that, where you may want to pull data as a production report or a quality control report, and then put it onto your shared consortium amongst you and everybody else in your mutual network. So yeah, there's lots of practical examples. So what I'm going to do here is just going to get the API server going. So we need to delete the existing wallet because we're going to create another one. And I'm typing with one hand, so excuse the potential little mistakes. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create the wallet information that we need for this instance. So we'll do the admin, enroll, register user. That creates everything we need. You see it there. And let's go ahead and start up the server. So there we go, active server. So what I'm going to do is go over here to my dashboard, which is actually showing this. So let's go ahead and pull the data that was initialized when the ledger was initialized based on the configuration files. Once again, those are able to be modified as needed. So we'll go ahead and pull data. As you can see, the GET request was successful and it pulled the data. And you can see here in the active API server that it basically sent back the result here, and of course that was seen here. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and send some data to this. Oh, actually, it's already been sent. Yes, I should have said that actually. So what I have here is I have an accumulation timer that is representing something like the amount of parts perhaps in a production line. So what I actually have done is I've sent data based on this timer being complete. So I've actually sent data every 10 seconds or so. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click the request for more information, and here you go. You can actually see that there's more information than there was, and that's because I sent data to it. So little test key, production data, there's some values, time. So there you go, very high level. It's a proof of concept, but I hope this gets the imagination flowing of, what could you utilize a industrial gateway for example? How could you spin up your own Hyperledger Fabric network? How could you then pull that same data, abstract out what you require? How could you then send it to that network? And then how could you query that network to get that data? So yeah, this is a nice little overview. It took me a little bit of time to figure out all of the eccentricities of Hyperledger Fabric, creating your own API server, for example. It's been a fun challenge. So yeah, I hope this gets the gears turning, and thank you for watching.